Well. The Cowboys have added Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson right here at the trade deadline. And unfortunately, the Cowboys are 3-5-1. And I do believe that these two players are absolutely not only going to improve the Dallas Cowboys defense exponentially, but I think the Cowboys are probably going to make a ferocious run here towards the end, especially if we can get Brian Schottenheimer back in that offensive room. This is a new series that I'm going to be doing now until the end of the season. It is called The Road to the Playoffs. And I'm going to show you how the Cowboys can take one or two roads. They can either go the wild card road or they can go win the division road. Let's talk, Cowboys. We're about to talk some facts. Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And if you like this video, don't forget at the end to please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live. And if you haven't become a channel member or subscriber yet, please do. We got a lot of great things going on this season. Now let's talk facts. Cowboy fans, the Cowboys are not out of the playoffs. I'm not telling you they are a shoe-in for the playoffs. I'm not even telling you necessarily they're going to make the playoffs. But there is a road that the Cowboys can go down, or there are two roads the Cowboys can go down and make the playoffs. It's going to require three things, and you need all three of these things to go to the playoffs, go to the Super Bowl. You need all three of these things. It's going to require some luck. Cowboys are going to need some luck on their side. The Dallas Cowboys not only need to win, but other teams need to lose. So they're going to need some luck. Number two, I've already mentioned it, but the Cowboys are going to have to win. The Cowboys really need to win all the remaining games. Probably not possible. At the most, the Cowboys can lose 2 games. But it's really that slim. The Cowboys going forward can only lose 2 more games. And then, number 3, the Cowboys defense. It is going to have to come out of the bye week on fire. The Cowboys are going to have to hit on all cylinders. So this is what I have for in week 10. The road to the playoffs. Let's check this out. So it is week 10, and we're starting this in week 10, the road to the playoffs, the wild card or win the division. And so what you see right here is these are the teams who are in front of the Cowboys. Now, the only spot I'm really concerned with is the number 7 spot, even though I have the Rams and the 49ers on here. I'm not really worried about them. The spot that I'm worried about is either number 1 or number 7. Because as it pertains to the NFC East, the Cowboys right now, they're number 2. And when you look at what's going on with the Commanders and the Giants, there's just no competition. It is a race between the Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys. And so when you look at the rest of the teams, 7, 8, 9, and 10, it's the Lions at 5-3, the Bears at 5-3, the Panthers at 5-4, and then the Vikings at 4-4. And then, of course, at 11, we have the Dallas Cowboys at 3-5-1. Now, unfortunately, the Cowboys have lost to both the Bears and the Panthers. So what the Cowboys have to try and do, and this is where the Cowboys in that game with the Green Bay Packers is actually going to help the Dallas Cowboys. The goal for the Dallas Cowboys, they don't have to win more games. They don't have to win more games than the Lions, the Bears, the Panthers, or the Vikings. The Cowboys only have to tie them in wins because the Cowboys have a tie. They would be tied with wins, but they would have less losses. They would have half a game less losses than those other teams. So the goal for the Cowboys is just to tie with whoever the number 7 seed is. If the Cowboys tie with the number 7 seed, as far as wins go, the Dallas Cowboys will get them in the proverbial tiebreaker and the literal tiebreaker. And then, of course, with the Eagles, Again, the reason why they're the only NFC East team on here is because right now it's a 2-team race with the Eagles are about 3.5 games out there in front of the Cowboys. So right now on the wild card road, this is the Lions' remaining schedule. The Lions have 9 games left. What you see in the white are the games that I believe the Lions are more than likely going to win, because I just think they're exponentially better than those teams. So when we look at the Lions, understand this. There is a possibility that the Lions, going down that 9-game stretch, they may only win 5 more games. Someone says, how do you figure this? Well, let's look at what they have going on here. So when you figure in the 2 guaranteed wins, that leaves 7 games, a possibility of 7 more games, and they'll have to lose quite a bit of those games. But I think it's going to be possible. They're going to play the Eagles in Philly. That game is tough for us because either way, whichever one of those teams lose, it helps us. But whichever one of those teams wins, hurts us. But I would think that as far as the Cowboys go, it's a toss-up. We'll see what it looks. It's a toss-up. We'll see what it looks like after week 10. But either way, it helps us and it hurts us. The New York Giants, you never know with them. The reason why they're in yellow is these are the games that I say that if something were to happen, they could go either way. But I do think the Lions will take care of the New York Giants at home. But we got the Packers. The Packers may very well. We'll see what the Packers do. They may very well beat the Lions. Then, of course, we have the Cowboys there. We have to beat them. Cowboys have to beat them. And if we don't beat them, it's the game that, well, we better win the rest. But the Cowboys not only have to beat them, they need to beat them. They have to beat them and they need to beat them. Then the Lions are at the Rams. That is probably going to be a loss. The Steelers is a toss-up. Could very well be beat by the Steelers, but I got that game in yellow. The Vikings, I have it as a guaranteed win, but you never know. It's a divisional game. These divisional teams play each other hard. So you're talking about the Vikings, but I do think they're going to beat the Vikings. And then the Bears. The Bears have been pretty tough. You're talking about Ben Johnson once again going up against his old coach. So when you look at all of this in totality, I could easily see over the next 9 games, I could see them losing to the Eagles, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Rams. That's without including any other team. If they were to lose to those 4 teams down the stretch, that would put the Detroit Lions at 10-7. Next up, the Bears. The Bears. They have the Giants next. They're at the Vikings, the Steelers, at the Eagles, at the Packers, the Browns, the Packers at home, at the 49ers, the Lions. I'm telling you right now, I don't think the Bears are going to reach double-digit wins. I don't. I don't think the Bears reach double-digit wins. And the reason is, I think they'll beat the Giants. At the Vikings is going to be a tough game. It's divisional. I could see them either way with the Steelers. But when I look at the Eagles, I think the Eagles will beat them. And I don't know if they're going to even go on a 4-game winning streak. But I'm just saying, worst case scenario. The Eagles, I think they get beat by the Packers. They'll play the Packers again. I think they'll probably beat the Packers. But then they got the 49ers. I think they'll lose to the 49ers at home. And I think they'll lose to the Lions. So out of the Bears' last 9 games, it is a strong possibility they're going to lose 5 of the last 9. I believe they lose 5 of the last 9. And because they're going to lose 5 of the last 9, I think they're going to finish at 9-8. Next team, the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers, I believe, have a pretty tough schedule coming up. They got the Saints. That's the only guaranteed win I got for them down the stretch. They have the Falcons in Atlanta. 49ers and the Rams. I could see those as both being losses. They got the Saints at New Orleans. It's a divisional game, so we could go either way. The Bucks. I think the Bucks may be able to beat them. And the Seahawks. We'll see what they're looking like, but the Seahawks have been red hot. I do think the Bucks will beat them one of the two games, whether it be at home, and could beat them both. And then the Lions at the end are going to be very, very tough for the Panthers. When you look at the last 9 games of the Panthers, I can clearly see a path of getting beat by the 49ers, the Rams, the Bucks, the Lions, the Seahawks. I don't think they're going to make double-digit wins. I believe the Panthers will finish right there at either 9-8 or 8-9. Next up, we have the Vikings. What else can I say? I don't even know if the Vikings are going to be 8-9. Their schedule at the end is tough. The Ravens, the Bears, the Packers, the Seahawks, Commanders, the Cowboys, the Giants, the Lions. The only game I got for them as a guaranteed win, I believe, is against the Washington Commanders. The Ravens, I think, are going to beat them in Minnesota. The Bears, that's going to be a tough one. That's going to be a tough one. But I do think they get beat by the Packers in Green Bay. They get beat by the Seahawks in Seattle. The Cowboys are going to beat them in Dallas. So when you look at the Ravens, the Packers, the Seahawks, the Cowboys, you're already looking at 4 losses. And I do believe that they will either lose to the Lions or the Packers down the stretch. That is going to be 5 losses in the last 9 games. And that is also going to put the Vikings at 8-9. And I actually think that's best case scenario. The Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, they are 3-5-1. And I am not going to tell you a lie. The Cowboys, they have an uphill battle. They have an uphill battle. The Cowboys have not won 2 consecutive games this season. They've lost 2 consecutive games, but they have not won 2 consecutive games yet. And they were looking extremely good at home and mediocre on the road. But then we've seen 2 weeks in a row where the Cowboys have been mediocre at home and on the road. And we know we've had some defensive issues. And one of the reasons why in my last 2 live streams of the post-game shows, the reason why I haven't really been harping on the defense is because we already knew the defense was bad. The surprise of the last 2 weeks for me, and I don't understand why no one else is talking about this, but the big surprise for me was the offense. They were ineffective against the Broncos, and then they were ineffective against the Arizona Cardinals at home. And the Cowboys, I mean, they have barely scored on the starting lineup. Hasn't even scored 20 points per game over the last 2 games. Again, the Cowboys are about to hit the hardest part of their schedule when they come back next Monday. They're going to play 3 games in 10 days, I believe. 3 games in 10 days. They come back on a Monday night. They play the Eagles on a Sunday, and then they're going to play the Chiefs back at home on a Thursday on Thanksgiving. It is a tough run right there. And those 3 games right there, those are going to determine whether or not the Cowboys make the playoffs. Because everything after that, other than the Lions, it is an absolute. Those games should be guaranteed wins. Guaranteed. Let me tell you why. So when you look at the last 8 games for the Dallas Cowboys, the Raiders, we saw the Raiders. The Raiders look terrible. The Raiders should get 2 losses for what them and the Denver Broncos looked like last Monday night. The Cowboys are playing the Raiders. The Raiders are not that good of a team. The Cowboys should absolutely be able to go into Las Vegas and beat the Raiders. They have to. I got this game in yellow because I say it could go either way, but the Cowboys should be able to win this game.
Yeah! Here we go!
The Eagles. It is a divisional game. Records are out the window. The Eagles beat the Dallas Cowboys in Philly. I believe the Cowboys are going to beat the Eagles in Dallas. Nothing else to talk about here. There's no way the Eagles are sweeping the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to get that victory against the Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs. It is going to be tough, but I'm going to tell you this. If the Cowboys 5-man front is looking the way we think it's going to look, and if the linebacker crew is looking the way we think it's going to look, and if the back end materializes and get healthy the way we think it is, I believe the Cowboys are going to have a great chance of beating the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's why I do not have this game in red. The Kansas City Chiefs, believe me, they are not the juggernaut that we have seen in times past. I believe it's going to be a shootout. I think the Cowboys are going to have a great opportunity to win on Thanksgiving, and I will not be surprised if they do win. At the Lions, this is going to be a tough game. We'll see kind of what the Cowboys and Lions are looking like around this time, but that is going to be a tough game. I mean, Dan Campbell got it out for the Cowboys, and I'm telling you, he tries to stick it to the Cowboys every opportunity that he gets. It's going to be a tough game. I got that game as a red. It's in red because that is one of those games. It wouldn't surprise me if they actually lost that game. Last 4 games of the season, Vikings. The Cowboys are better than the Vikings. They're going to beat the Vikings. The Chargers. The Cowboys have beat the Chargers the last couple of times. We'll see what it looks like. But I do think the Cowboys should be able to overcome the Chargers. By this time, the Cowboys, I believe, should be hitting on all cylinders. Of course, I think the Cowboys are going to beat the Washington Commanders, and I think they're going to beat the Giants the last game of the season. So if you look at this, 8 games remaining. If they won all 8, of course, they would be 11-5-1. I don't think that's going to be the case. If they lose 1 game, they're 10-6-1. If they lose 2 games, they're going to be 9-7-1. That is the least. That is the least. That right there is the most games the Cowboys can lose. That is the most games they can lose. And this is the worst schedule they can have to get into the playoffs. 9-7-1. Because I'm telling y'all, this is going to be similar to last year. It's going to come down to the wire, and we're going to be waiting until the last game of the season to see if the Cowboys or some of these other teams are in. And I'm telling you, with the parity going on in this league right now, do not be shocked if 9-7-1 actually gets the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs. Do not be surprised. So, week 10 games.
Yes! Here we go!
Week 10 games. The Cowboys, it's the Saints versus the Panthers, Giants versus the Bears, Ravens versus the Vikings, Lions versus the Commanders, Eagles versus the Packers on a Monday night. So, when we look at these games, the reason why I got these games in red is because I don't think these games are going to help us. Because I do think the Carolina Panthers are going to put foots in the New Orleans Saints. The Lions are visiting are going to Washington to play the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders are in disarray. Now, you never know. Mariota could. You never know. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know. But I think the Lions are going to put foots in the Commanders. Not going to help us any. Giants versus the Bears. Somewhat of a toss-up. I think the Bears are going to take care of business. Probably won't help us. Ravens versus the Vikings. I got that game in green. I think the Ravens are going to come to Minnesota, and they are going to put absolute foots all up and down the Minnesota Vikings. And then when it comes to the Eagles and the Packers, what I really want, honestly, I really want the Packers to take care of business and beat the Eagles. I thought the Packers were going to take care of business and beat the Carolina Panthers. So I'm hoping the Packers bounce back, take care of business, and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. That will put them one more game behind. So this will be the game. These are the 2 games I think that we will get help on this week. The Ravens versus the Vikings and the Eagles versus the Packers. I think the Packers beat the Eagles, so we'll be watching out for that, and it'll be a bonus. It'll be an absolute bonus if the Giants beat the Bears, if the Saints found a way to beat the Panthers, and the Commanders some kind of way with Marcus Mariota could beat the Lions. Would be an absolute gift for the Dallas Cowboys. Finally, as we look at the Philadelphia Eagles and we look at the win the division road, this is a tough one. This is actually the road we would like to take. But this road is going to depend a lot on the Philadelphia Eagles collapsing down the stretch. And I am telling you, It is going to be tough for them to collapse down the stretch. They already have 6 wins. So the issue for them is they would have to lose quite a few games down the stretch. And I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. They have 9 games left. I do think it's possible. But the problem is, I think at the very most they could lose is 5. 6 would be asking a lot. There would have to be something cataclysmic happening to the Philadelphia Eagles in order for them to lose that many. I don't think they're going to lose that many. But I do think there is a chance that they could lose 5. And those 5 games, we're hoping the Packers take care of business this week. Maybe the Lions could shock them in Philly. The Cowboys are going to beat them. The Bears, I think they'll take care of business. The Chargers, maybe the Chargers will beat them. They're gonna destroy the Raiders. I think they will beat the Commanders, depending upon what's going on with the Commanders. But it is a divisional game. The Commanders, they will be at home. Stranger things have happened. I think the Bills are going to put foots in them in Buffalo. And then, of course, the Commanders game, the games in white are games that I think they're just going to win regardless. The yellow ones could go either way, but the red ones, I think they lose those games. I think they lose those games. Those are 4 losses down the stretch. That would be 11-6. So the hope is other than these 4 games, the Cowboys need the Lions or the Bears or the Commanders to add an extra loss that could possibly put them at 9-7. I don't think there's a way they're going 9-8. But if they go 10-7, that also means the Cowboys can only lose 1 game. That is going to be the Week 10 edition of the road to the playoffs. These are the Week 10 games again. These are the games that we're looking at to help us. Again, we're going to need some help. We're going to need to win. We're going to need our defense to step up. And let me add an addendum. We're going to need 4 things. And we're going to have to stay healthy. All right. Y'all tell me what y'all think. Tell me what you think in the comments. By the time this video gets out and by the time we have our live stream today, I'm pretty sure we're going to be having our 20,000 subscriber show. So y'all turn on those notification bells for that. Y'all tell me what y'all think about the Cowboys' road to the playoffs. Like, share, subscribe. Until the next time, TC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Peace.